Look at you. Why don't you do something with your life? Sit around here all day. You contribute nothing to society. You're just taking up space. I mean, how could I be with someone like you? Wouldn't respect myself.
And Coleman is out because of an injury for the rematch. Severn is out.
Please! I take it all back. Every word. I love you.
In a battle where anything can happen, anything can happen, anything can happen, and probably will.
Hello, it is I, the J Shot, and due to popular demand, we are back with another one of those block-rocking UFC events. Yes, in the past year, we've really made our way through a variety of, let's say, interesting content. But the UFC is this channel's bread and butter, and no one knows better where this channel's bread is buttered than me. So without further delay, let's pick it up where we left off. UFC 14 saw the upset of the millennium. Probably. But with only a couple years left before Y2K wreaks havoc on our online calendars, it's a decently safe bet. That, of course, was when the big hammer Mark Coleman saw a unanimous chorus of judges vote to give his championship belt to his opponent, with evidently no concern for how he would then keep his pants up. Maurice Smith emerged victorious and is back just shy of 3 months later to climb into the cage with David Lawless Abbott. As if the matchmakers said, hey, if Coleman gassed out against this guy, I wonder what would happen if he fought Tank.
Let's see if it pays off for him.
It's October 17th, 1997. The Cleveland Indians and Florida Marlins are about to start pitching and catching their way through the World Series. For the first time ever, a color photo graced the cover of the New York Times just a day earlier. And the #1 movie in the country had us all asking,
what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
What we're waiting for is an explanation why the 6-5 Tank, coming off back-to-back losses, is getting a title shot. And fortunately, we get that info right away.
Coleman is out because of an injury for the rematch. Severn is out.
He must be injured.
Tank Abbott answers the bell.
What happened to the beast, you ask?
Dan Severn sustained an injury to his right hand. Although it's not life-threatening, he's unable to go on, simply because it makes him a one-handed fighter.
And we all know that would never work.
Well, there you have it. Dan Severn's out and Tank Abbott's in. Anything can happen in the UFC.
Excitement is truly in the air. So tonight's card is chock full of heavyweight havoc. A 4-man tournament, a super fight, a championship fight, and for the first time ever, 2 televised alternate bouts, which Bruce Beck tells us we'll want to keep a close eye on.
An alternate can work his way into the main draw.
Oh, we are well aware. First up is Chief Alex Hunter and Dirty Harry Moskowitz. Please, Lord, tell me their fighting skills aren't anything like their promo skills.
If I have to stand up and fight, I will. But I prefer to fight on the ground.
The excitement continues. Showing the alternate fight on the broadcast isn't the only piece of groundbreaking we see with this bout. Moskowitz is listed as 5'2" in mixed martial arts, a term I'm not sure we've seen used yet, while Hunter becomes the first fighter to pump some sweet jams while making the walk to the octagon. Early on in the fight, the much bigger Moskowitz with 8 inches and 80 pounds on Hunter tries to separate Chief's head from his neck, lifting him high enough for a Blotnik suplex. Beck says it's almost a Davy and Goliath format, but nevertheless, Hunter keeps working to take the big man down and throwing hard looping shots when he gets loose. Dirty Harry just doesn't let go though, attempting a bulldog choke. Boy, do I love those. But that gets reversed and Hunter scores points with the judges on the ground for a big portion of the 12-minute round. When the ref stands them up, Big Hair ignores his instructions and slogs some agua.
Moskowitz sneaks a quick swing.
Neither have much energy to draw from for the remaining minute or so, and with no overtime in alternate bouts for whatever reason, the judges say hail to the Chief and name Hunter the winner by split decision. The other alternate fight is between Dwayne Kaysen and Houston Dorr. The former, a nephew of Leon and Michael Spinks. The latter lost to Anthony Mad Dog Macias in 17 seconds. Gee, I wonder who's going to win this. The guy who has excellent wrestling skills and, well, good boxing, or the apparent knockout artiste with limited ground skills and just a handful of submissions to his name. Time for these two to get it on.
Get busy!
Hey, wait a second. What was that again?
Get busy!
Just shake that booty non-stop when the beat drop, just keep swinging it.
Right. Back to the task at hand. As expected, Kaysen brings the fight to the ground immediately, but the person, named after a place and thing, stifles the attack with a tight grip on his arms and no fear of getting smashed in the face by his opponents.
Headbutting is now illegal, and this is where we used to see a lot of headbutting.
It's now nearly 4 years since the UFC debuted, and we finally see our first attempt at a Boston Crab. Unfortunately, he can't lock it in. Probably didn't work the legs and lower back quite enough. But no bother, he gets the ref's stoppage shortly after when he connects on a healthy dose of ground and pound.
Greg Stotton, RIP hand-to-hand is his style.
Rip hand to hand? More like rip in peace, am I right? Turns out I am very right. Despite being a former Ranger, he is soon morphed into another dimension by the physical specimen himself, Mark Kerr. Honestly, this fight is crazy. Stott does these weird snap punches, and he kind of reminds me of Scrappy-Doo more than any human should. Meanwhile, the Kerminator looks like a sophisticated robot sent back in time to walk in, knee his opponent in the face once, and then head to the back to rest up for the finals. It's exactly what the crowd is here for, especially this guy. Yes, UFC 15 was the event where the Just Bleed meme was born. And to this day, more than 25 years after he donned the paint and screamed his way into our hearts, no one is more overlooked by the UFC Hall of Fame than James Ladner. Do the right thing, Dana, for once in your friggin' life. I'm getting carried away here. I apologize. It's just that it's such a historic moment. Please forgive me. Beck, what's next?
Dave Beneteau and Carlos Habeto going toe-to-toe.
Just what he does best.
But I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody who wants to exchange punches.
But before they stand close enough to compare shoe sizes, we need to know who this mystery man is who's taking on the dangerous one. Carlos Barreto, take it away. Anybody catch that? Let me know in the comments section, I guess, because all I know going into this one is he likes the guard, and I can surmise he's probably more comfortable on the ground. Beneteau doesn't hate it down there, so it's no surprise when he shoots early, but Barreto getting called for a headbutt foul in the first 30 seconds is a little different than we're used to. They don't stop the action, just keep on keeping on. Barreto holds the cage, which keeps his opponent in place until Big John separates them for a lack of action at the minute-and-a-half mark. When they restart, Barreto makes good on a takedown and even gets control of Beneteau's back. But like all Canadians, he's made of maple syrup and thus slippery as hell. He escapes, and boy howdy do these two have themselves a slobber knocker. It goes the distance, which is 12 minutes. Then overtime adds to that distance, another 3 minutes to be exact, in which Barreto dominates on the ground without really landing any shots to speak of. Beneteau, on the other hand, lands a seemingly harmless kick, but nope, kicks on the ground of any kind are not allowed, so that's a foul. Even still, he's named the winner by unanimous decision, earning the right to take on the Smashing Machine, who has fought for about as many seconds as the Dangerous One has fought minutes.
Either guy is in trouble going in against Mark Kerr.
Good luck.
Jiu-Jitsu is a great game, but the myth is broken.
And as we all know, immediately following the events of UFC 15, Jiu-Jitsu was literally never heard of ever again. We're then shown Vitor Belfort stretching out in his RV dressing room, rocking the most 90s pant style to ever exist, the Adidas Tearaway. Hang them in the Louvre. The Phenom talks about his discipline as a fighter, saying he isn't trying to win in such quick, spectacular fashion. He just can't help it because he's such an absolute killer in the octagon. Randy Couture makes the walk first. He's described as a brilliant wrestler and a good striker, I guess. Sounds like a report card or something.
We have seen this often where a fighter will stay in the dressing room to ice his opponent.
So it appears we've got some mind games happening here. I wonder if they're taking their toll on the natural.
Randy's nodding to his opponent. He's got a smile on his face. He's actually laughing.
Guess not. So out of the camper he finally comes. Or wait, maybe not. Oh no, yep, here he comes. Wow, you'd think he already had time to tie his belt, but either way, into the arena and octagon he goes, while another incorrect graphic is shown on screen. Save that one for later, guys. And to make it 3 graphic mistakes out of 3, he's described as having no known weaknesses, which we all know is false because clearly his time management skills are a bit lackluster.
Couture, 23 years in wrestling, and Belfort, 20 years of age.
That's simply bananas. 20-year-olds are not supposed to look like this. I'd say the poor guy can't even order a drink in this country to celebrate if he wins, but let's be real here. No one is asking this pine tree-necked monster for ID. When Big John says let's get it on, Belfort comes out ready to box from the southpaw stance. Blatnick accurately assesses Couture's strategy to circle away from his opponent's power hand, as all fighters learn on day one. Belfort, with only 4 fights under his belt, which combined for about 3 minutes of actual combat experience, was likely surprised when he wasn't immediately able to take Captain America down and impose his will. Yes, he technically had twice as many fights as Couture at the time, but the decades of world-class wrestling count for quite a bit, as all Vitor can take down is part of Randy's shorts. Despite the wardrobe malfunction, Couture succeeds on a takedown and remains in a dominant position for the next 3 minutes, landing knees to Belfort's head as he tries to get back to his feet.
That's fucking illegal.
Not yet, it's not. Couture then shows off his other bread and butter, connecting numerous times with dirty boxing from the clinch. Belfort won't give up, but his cardiovascular system will, as the exhausted Brazilian's punishment is stopped around the 8-minute mark by Mr. McCarthy. Wow, what a scrap that was. And would you believe it, we still have 2 stacked fights left to go.
Dave Benito cannot go.
Oh, what the H? Why not?
I got all the tools to beat Kerr, but I don't want to go in there half-cocked. I'm not saying I would lose, but hey, I'm not going in there with all my snot.
Your snot?
My snot.
Okay, that's an interesting concern, but you know what? Fair enough. We all know Dangerous Dave is tough AF, but he'd have to be on his A game to even stand a chance going toe-to-toe with Mark Kerr. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't even seem real.
That back there is not real.
Seriously though, who on this planet or any other could take on Le Specimen and live to tell the tale?
And his loss to the World Team Trials and his second place finish in the Nationals was a guy named Kurt Angle.
I choose to believe there's an alternate timeline where Kerr wins the Olympics and goes on to a Hall of Fame career in the WWE. Oh, it's true. Anyway, so Dwayne Kaysen gets the call up, and while he's no slouch, the Smashing Machine just smashes his way to a tap out in less than a minute. After the fight, Rogan asks the winner the standard questions before Bruce Beck decides to chime in.
Bruce and Jeff have a question for you. What is it?
I wanted to ask Mark, is this form of fighting, is it tailor-made for him?
Now, not that Beck shouldn't be able to weigh in or anything, but I just find it odd and awkward and, well, a bit reminiscent of something.
So what do you want now?
Well, if I have to teach you how to be a reporter, Ollie, I'll do that later.
Well, it's been an exciting night of fights so far, but now it's time for what we all came for.
When you talk about big, you have to talk about John McCarthy. Here's a closer look.
Yep, highlights of Big John McCarthy, including the origin story of his famous catchphrase.
You're going to have to tell me, yeah, they're ready. And I'm going to ask the other guy if he's ready. And I'm going to tell him, well, let's get it on. And that's how it all started.
Moving right along. All right, no more fooling around. It's time for the main event. We get a bit of a look at the new UFC champ's resume, which includes very little octagon time, as he's only had the 1 fight, and a back body drop from what we have to assume was a real, not at all fixed fight.
Tank is very tough, and, you know, people might make fun of him.
What? Who would do such a thing?
Whatever happens, happens. I go out there to bang.
Let me bang, man. I want to do that, man. Let me bang, bro.
In a bit of entertainment echoing life, Tank goes from the trailer park to the octagon. A power puncher with a good chin who is always dangerous and unpredictable. Will he try to stand up and fight, or will he look to throw hands? Or could he possibly have a game plan that keeps the fight on the feet so he can trade shots with Smith? When you have a skill set as diverse as Tank, there are many options at your disposal.
He's one man who's never sleepless in Seattle.
And with his enormous heart, it's a wonder why he wasn't cast in the sequel. Despite calling it a fake, made-up martial art several events ago, Tank's discipline is still listed as pit fighting. And when Big John gives the okay, it's Tank looking to stalk Smith, who tries to bob and weave and avoid the kaboomer. At the 2-minute mark, he takes top position, but despite holding it for several minutes, he's mostly stifled by the champ, who even attempts a submission or two from the bottom. When McCarthy stands them up, the pit fighter is able to slug a little water, but what he really needs is an oxygen tank.
Tank is flat out of gas.
As of last Saturday, I stepped off a bar stool and I stepped into the octagon tonight.
Credit where it's due, stepping in on short notice to take on the champ. Not something you see every day, and certainly not these days. All things considered, though, the whole event really went off without much of a hitch, as the production continues to improve from the first few shows. And a lot of that is partially thanks to Bruce Beck, who brought a level of class and broadcasting expertise not seen before he took over. This would mark his last time at the UFC commentary table. Big shoes to fill for whoever tries to take his place, and hopefully they bring an entirely different style and aren't
virtually identical.
So that was UFC 15 Collision Course. A big thanks to all of you for your patience, as I know this one was a long time coming. There's more of the UFC's teen years to come, so don't unsubscribe just yet. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, have your pets spayed or neutered, and I will talk to you next time. All the best.